All right there, Latin 3. Here it is, the end. 68 big D. This is the very last chapter, very last translation in this book. From here on out, you're doing Latin without macrons. So here we go. Okay, this is the death of Pliny. Spoiler alert, but it literally says it right down there at the bottom underneath the picture. I recommend very highly, once you're done with this, then you go back through and you do all the reading comprehension questions. Okay, and actually after you're done with that, take a look at review 17. Do 17B and 17C. Don't worry about A. All right, so here we go. Big D. Now, it was day elsewhere, but there was a night blacker and thicker than all the nights, which, however many torches and different lamps they used, would kind of lessen it. So it's just super dark because everything's blocked out. But they do have torches and lamps, and that's kind of making it glow a little. It was decided to go out onto the shore and to look from up close whether the sea would allow any escape. It wouldn't, by the way. It still remained vast and foreboding. So the wind is still blowing everything in, and the water is rising. In fact, there was actually a tidal wave. There, lying on a cloth that had been thrown on the ground, once and again he demanded and drank cold water. And it's probably likely he was laying on a sail from a ship. The flames and the odor of the sulfur, which is the herald of flames, turned the others to flight, and it roused him. Leaning on two little slaves, he stood up and immediately fell back down. And, as I infer, with his breathing blocked by rather thick fumes, with his windpipe, which in his case was naturally unhealthy and narrow and frequently inflamed, closed. So he suffocated. When daylight returned, and this was the third day from that which he had last seen, so we're talking like 5 days after the eruption, his body was found intact and unharmed, and covered as he had been dressed. The appearance of his body was more like a person asleep than a dead person. And that's the end of that story. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and tack this on. Review 17C. I want you to take a look at that because there's just a short little letter from Pliny. So go ahead and hit pause. I will wait for you to finish that translation and then come back to me. Okay, here we go. We're on page 170, review 17C. You've already done 17B, and you've parsed and labeled everything, and you've labeled, and when you give reason for conditions, you tell me the condition. Don't just say conditional. You need to tell me which one. So on 17C, though, here we go. Whether posterity will have any worry for us, I do not know. We certainly deserve that they should have some. I do not say this because of our talent, for that would be arrogant, but because of our zeal and our efforts and our concern for posterity. Let us just continue along the route that we have established, which, although it has brought a few into the light of fame, nevertheless it has brought many out of the shadows and silence. Goodbye. So that's part of his letter, and kind of explaining why it's good that he talk about his uncle and stuff like that. That's it. We're done. That's review 17D, or review 17, exercise C, the very last thing to translate in this whole book. There you go. From here on out, it's Latin without the macrons. It'll be Ritchie's. Start with the Perseus story, then the Argonauts, then Ulysses. And then after that, it'll be Catullus, and then after that, it'll be Caesar. So you are done with the purple book. There were some highs and lows in it. It's been a hell of a day for me. I've recorded a whole bunch of these just in one day. I do my laundry more frequently than, the weeks and weeks that it took you to go through this. But anyway, please email me with any and all translation exercises. The translations themselves, you've got my videos for that very reason. Now, obviously, if you have a problem with any of them, hit me up and quote it and tell me, I'm really struggling with how it's constructed. But there you go. All right, I'm going to hit the button.